of their own, which they did not have to protect. It was just available to them, as it's not usually a target ban. So this is definitely some kind of preference-based situation. 0% are looking at a triple strategist composition, as Adam is at least being hovered here on Krakoa.
And Krakoa, we always start off on domination. This time it's going to be Krakoa, where our teams will wet their whistles for combat. Question is the Doctor Strange going to be hyper valuable? I haven't seen a Doctor Strange protected forever. He's a strong hero, don't get me wrong. Often going to be, he's kind of the strongest of those who are left over, you know, after after the Magneto and the Emma get banned out. Makes sense that you would prioritize banning the Emma though, and not the Magneto, given that Emma can just grab Doctor Strange through his shield and really put him in a more vulnerable position. Or is this Arcane Order? Arcane Barrage? Hold up. Okay, well this is gonna get weird, and 0%, they might be channeling the spirit of Schmungus here to just make OGC confused and panicked.
And this, and remember, it's Schmungus who did take OGC down to the lower bracket, early portal to take the more aggressive positioning, but it's high ground for OGC as they push forward with a Hawkeye, making the most of that Lunar Snow team up. Going to be looking for some lockdowns, which can prevent portals later in the game if you can hit the target.
Oh yeah, against the portal. Very valuable. Abu, who already grabbed. However, that extended cast with the rocket jump does mean it's easy to try and grab away the Wolverine. Still in a position where there's nothing to be done. Will fall down to Oniro's chaos control thereafter. Still, KQ is just freely spamming away with these arrows. The strongest Avenger continues their reign of terror.
Best win rate in the MCU is the Hawkeye. They are locked in here, able to take control, clean out the attackers, and 0% are forced to regroup and prepare for their second assault here.
Inspired by Craggy, and did manage to get one of the only frags of 0% in that fight. Still, if you do not account for KQ's position, he will destroy you. The Hunter Sight is almost ready as well, by the way. One of the fastest ultimates generated in the lobby. 6 also matching here. Very Season 0 looking composition from OGC, and seems to be working out pretty well so far. Dodging the incoming Wolverine leaps means that Abuhu will survive a while longer, but Hachiko not so lucky.
6 is on the flag, trying to get a turnaround, going in for a Goddess of Death with 2 people already taken down, but another Season 0 classic legacy with the Sephirim barrier to completely block that away, and now it's just the chase, trying to get onto the Hela, who does the Soul Siphon. KQ is back, they get the pickups, and OG still keep control, getting the flip. They're on 38 compared to the 27 of 0%.
You're just on such a timer. Oh my goodness, KQ 8-0 right now with 6 final. Oh boy, when you're going up against a Hawkeye this good, you are on such a timer during your fights, because if you wait long enough, KQ is going to find one of those headshots and deliver a frag.
They're pushing in, looking for that early aggression, using that Scarlet Witch Doctor Strange team up. They have every ult to 0%, but it's almost every ult. Only seen this is Ayamakamoto from Hachiko in the backline. Wolverine going for the target, Media M to try and take out the Cloak and Dagger, but it is blocked out here, preventing that huge burst follow-up and allowing the healing. Wolverine with the last stand, but it's not enough for the finishing blow. KQ gets Frost Mountain, and finally that Magneto does fall.
Oh, a quick freeze coming through from that Lunar Snow team up. KQ falling low. Up comes the Invisible Boundaries. Keep that Hawkeye where they need to be. Greedy Nil stunned up, but the Invisible Boundaries just so much healing. It can't get it done. KQ is popping off on this Hawkeye. Oh, the Legolas cosplay, but I guess it's more of a Hawkeye cosplay in this case. OGC leverage the Hawkeye to unbelievable value.
Frost was able to touch the point. That will give a delay. Isidore is going to use the Hulk to jump in for the quick rollout. There's the Frost shot to try and poke from it. This is to slow down the approach, and that will be OG Seed taking round number 1 on Krakoa.
Okay, I wasn't a KQ head. I might be being converted. I am in the cultist camp right now. They are showing me the videos, and I'm nodding along faithfully. I'm starting to be a believer. 11 final hits, you know, 14-0. A boohoo, unfortunately. It is a bit of a boohoo moment, as they are tanking a huge amount of the aggression coming through from the Wolverine. But you know what? That's a dutiful Vanguard right there. Don't worry. I shall lay down on the puddle so that you can cross unmarred.
and Hachiko has just been filling out everything else. We already talked about how Wolverine can be so good against the Doctor Strange, but Abu has been the one eating a lot of these shots. Looks like they are going to potentially be starting on the Hulk this time, sticking with those last-second picks for a potential launch that Wolverine onto the point early and go for that quick pickup.
I mean, admittedly, Hawkeye doesn't have that much in the way of survivability.
True.
Or escape when things start to go wrong. Maybe there's a world where you could be thrown on top of the Hawkeye and just grip him into your team. You know? Reality Erasure is available. Actually, no, they're playing for the Unbreakable Guard on the Reality Erasure. How could I have been so blind, Tetra?
It's a big ability, but it needs to be protected on the setup. Any extra shielding is going to be huge, but with Magneto banned out, it is the Hulk they need to use. They now have the ability to throw the Wolverine, protect that Scarlet Witch, because they've held onto this ultimate for the entirety of last round, and now the beginning of this one. Here it comes, and there it goes.
Oh, yeah. A flash in the pan. The rarest of steaks. Some might call it raw. 0%. Both cooking and cooked. I imagine we'll maybe see Isidore swap here.
I think you're probably right.
Oh no,
Oniro is going to be moving over to the Psylocke, deciding that the Scarlet Witch
if you're playing the Hulk.
Go for first backline damage to try and take out the Hulk.
I'm kind of question mark emojis right now, Tetra. I'm not going to lie to you.
They're trying to go for backline assassinations, but I do agree that having something else to combo for that extra burst damage could be huge. Wolverine tries to get onto Hachiko, but they will back away.
I need a screenshot of the hilarity of Wolverine requesting a throw, looking at the puny banner. You scientists, throw me!
Oh, what if they use the grenade bounce? In a future team up.
Yeet him over with the gamma nade. Now you're thinking. Now you're thinking like a scientist, Tetra.
Now you're thinking with Gamma. All right, they're going to be setting up right now, 0%. Looking for the opening. Frost Mountain has brought out the Winter Soldier to try and go for some quick pickups as well.
Oh boy, instantly dropping on down. The Unbreakable Guard from the Hulk is at just the perfect time, but Oniro's been caught elsewhere, coming through with the Meteor M, trying to shut down this Cloak and Dagger ultimate. It does actually keep them from moving on to a point with it. So 0% just do not have the sustainability on the objective where they need it the most. And guess what? Both Six and KQ still have everything they need to try and roll this one back. Missed their teleport at extrication, so it's just going to be a backpedal for now. A well-placed shot onto Oniro means KQ continues to dominate, and a turnaround maybe coming through with Valunas though. Greedy Nils overwhelmed by the Kraken impact. Reaching that culling threshold puts them down below the Rubicon. Six from the back though has a nice angle. Oh, never mind, it's not actually a nice angle. Just forced to watch as the remainder of the team fight elsewhere. Name forced into cover by those Nastron Chrome mortars raining down from above. But Legacy, that means that they are out of range of the strategist, so that there's no support to be given. Name wins out against Six. That's a little bit embarrassing, thanks to our observers for getting a frag of their own in the midst of all this. And 0%, they're nowhere near the point. Do not let them cook.
That is going to be game number one, going to OG Seed. 0% swap to Spider-Man even to just get people onto that objective, but they weren't able to stay there, weren't able to hold, as OG Seed take the lead in this lower bracket. They are now one game away from moving on to those lower bracket quarterfinals.
Here you see that Galactic fan. You can get that right now from a 616 volt.
Nice.
Buy the costume.
Buy our stuff.
You could be like KQ and get that MVP. 21 and 114 final hits. 2.8k damage take. We'll see if 0% allow for that after their Frost Mountain is kind of a bit of a Human Torch merchant, as far as I'm aware. Was kind of a Human Torch player before Human Torch got his buff, before it became permabanned. And has also been branching out into the Wolverine. So a lot of fear for the Vanguards.
We are heading to Midtown. This is the map where we started to see these massive containments. And we did see 0% at the early parts of this hover. This may just be for armor, but they were hovering onto the Penny and Rocket. They might be trying to go for this big containment at point number one. Will OG Seed be able to deal with that, as it's not something they've had to go up against yet?
Hopefully OG have been watching the VODs of other teams dealing with it. Moon Knight and Squirrel Girl often seem to be common swaps for this first point hold. Just putting overwhelming damage into these small and contained areas.
That is a heck of a lockdown here. They've gone for the triple Vanguard, triple strategist with the rocket, the penny. They even brought Adam in case they do get cleaned out. Immediately, OG, they do swap out. Squirrel Girl's coming out. The Moon Knight is coming out to try and just punish anyone in this room by sieging into it with maximum damage output.
Checking on your local hero shooter player. They may be having a little bit of a flashback. Looking at 3 strategists and 3 vanguards here. KQ wraps around these doors. Still so difficult to try and dislodge players from this. 6 already almost has the hand of Conjurer to roll on down. Nice cyber snaring web coming through onto that. Maybe trying to take out the Squirrel Girl. Oh, the accuracy's not there for Legacy. A little bit of a fumble, not gonna lie, but Hachiko still falls after the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier is deployed.
They've burned several minutes, though, already holding extremely effective. The first minute takes down. Here comes the unbeatable Squirrel Tsunami and that Fist of Conchu. Oniro will fall, but it's Moon Knight. Good news. They'll be right back. Not so lucky for Frost Mountain, though, who will get taken back and will have to either portal or use their legs like a plebe.
Oh, now he says it's time to go again right here. 6 already swapped over from the Iron Fist onto the Punisher. And so it's going to be able to lay down quite a bit of damage, but won't have quite the same level of ultimate generation that we expect from the Iron Fist. A quick snare to disengage here for the Penny Parker. Isidore almost has for Spider Time, but might be more powerful while not using it, to be honest. Rolls around, starts knocking players up. Yep, Penny certainly ulting, and we can all see the impact before our very eyes.
Charging in, trying to cut off this center area so that they can keep the hold of it, so that they can regroup once everyone is back. Focus onto Strange, who gets a big Maelstrom of Madness, doing massive damage output. Isidon is barely up. Cosmic Yarn Amplifier for yet another hold as KQ is in the backline. Ayamoto onto the backline, and that is enough to wipe out the Cloak and Dagger. But they are brought back with the calming revival of Oniro, and 0%. They are taking this push into a crawl. We're already down to 2 minutes.
The name of a game for 0% is not to win, but just to lose slowly. Kill me all you want, I've already won. Legacy takes down Greedy Nils. Even though it wasn't to shut down the Eternal Bond, at least it was charged up by 6's ultimate themselves. No, maybe this is a little bit too much compared to what's needed, but hey, 0% are going to hold strong now, and guess what? It's back up to our little bunker.
We're back in the room again. Unfortunate for the Doctor, as Frost Mountain is going to be creeping forward for the zone. KQ has been getting some great sieges. We have Meteor M almost at the ready, but other ultimates closest is 65% now for KQ on that Supernova, whereas 0%, they are almost at their own Eye of Agamotto and Cosmic Yarn Amplifier.
Abuhu ready to shut something down with the Meteor M, but at a moment's notice could use it to try and peel for an Eye of Agamotto. Watching those duelists flee away. The strategists get behind the shield. Great mid-air interception coming through from Frost Mountain. Coming out on the Doctor Strange. Not their usual pick. Cosmic Yarn Amplifier already gone, by the way. Frost Mountain into the back. Gets one. It's on to 6. The shields are arrayed. The Testudo formation has raised the banners and say, you shall not claim our Punisher. And here we go. Another big penny ultimate. The value is immense.
Oniro is going to get focused down here, wants to try and stay up, and they do have that cocoon. Isidore was taken out, but it's brought back at the BRB. Oniro is taken out, brought back with their own cocoon. 0% are just so sticky, hard to take down. Finally, Lime Pro falls. Name's taken out, and it's the final judgment that may prove to be the opening factor, the opening door. It's all about delays down. Frost Mountain, the person who could have got them back to the point fast, was the latest to fall, meaning 0%. They are going to lose this point number 1 unless someone can rush on in.
Don't think it's going to be the case. Seems like it's going to be a completion here. But you know what? So much time was burned. I believe that was an overtime take. 2.5 minutes on the clock for second. And second's even harder to take than first. These get progressively more difficult to try and break through. You can see that Hachiko is raising up the shield here to try and make sure those Vanguards who are deeper in cannot receive any heals from the strategist laying behind. Into the back goes Greedy Nils. That's a huge Terror Cape, by the way. Unreal value. Oniro ready to move on forward with the resurrections. Plenty of players stunned. Name is going to be the primary target. Isidore's going to come on through later. Oh, yes, another penny. Spider Time is ready to go. And now everyone quakes in fear as Spider Time is declared.
This clock is clearly broken. These are too many spider times as Isidore rushing through the supernova to give their team some space and they can back up out of it. But Invisible Boundary is holding the line. Oniro is taken down once again. No Cocoon this time. That Invisible Boundary keeping OG Seed in this fight. Abu takes out Name, and once again 0% are ticking down bit by bit. But with 1.5 minutes left, they're portaling back in for hold number, what is this, 6?
Fight number 6, baby. Going into a secret house here with the portal. Wake up, babe. New bunker just dropped. Gonna roll out and try and touch that cart to stop it moving. The mission area is once again stalled, and 6 is gonna try and get it moving again. The Legacy, the double onto both laps. This and Greedy Nils decided not to try and shut down the Punisher. Instead, utilize the damage coming through from that duelist to punish the strategists who were cowering elsewhere. Heads up, play by Legacy.
And that is going to be 0% cleaning out OG Seed. And that means, guess what? It's setup time. Time to place more mines. Time to place more bionic spider nests. Time to send out cyberweb snares to slow this push. With 40 seconds remaining, 0% are creating attrition for OG Seed to try and push through. But with Wolverine, they're going to try and break it.
Disengaging, slowly giving away that space, trading resources for time on cart. In comes the Eye of Agamotto. It stuns 3. Isidore, Oniro, and Name all fall. Oh, the follow-up is so immense. And now Isidore's going to have to try and make it work with very little healing available. Lion Pro sitting at the top, sending out those repair mode balls, but just does not have the throughput to keep these vanguards up.
They are all taken down at about the same time, though. We're only halfway through point number 2 as they're making their way through overtime, meaning that once again 0% are gonna have an opportunity to hold. But great play by Hachiko has decided to try and buy a little bit more time by closing out 2 of the entrances for the objective, forcing 0% to wrap around, meaning they can't set up here. They're trying to rush in, but the culling turret, the zoning from the vanguards, and it will be a dive with the Eye of Agamotto to try and hold the point. As the card is stopped, it's less than a meter away, but it's gonna be 0% getting pushed down, but the Comic Revival is bringing them all back with the last stand to clean them out, though, and it's starting to become a numbers game for OG Seed as they push on through with the final judgment, cleaning them out here.
Oh, 3 players stunned by the Eye of Agamotto. The follow-up's not quite there, but KQ was just looking elsewhere, prioritizing Frost Mountain, getting rid of the meaty sorcerer who wants to plant themselves upon the car. And you pointed out the culling turret in conjunction with that teleport gave over so much space that then we saw 0% having to scramble to get onto the objective when really they're weakest when they're commuting. They want to be sitting in one place and just saying, no, can't frag us.
0% have finally swapped off of this 3-3 lineup. They have brought out the Punisher. They have brought out the Wolverine. They have gone for a classic Captain America Magneto setup. They're going to try and take this fight a little bit more standard there. Iron Bulwark to protect against the Wolverine who tried to go for an isolation.
Oh, Frost Mountain eating a bunch of poke here, but we need to try and fight early. This is what 0%'s composition has been all about, just losing slowly in many cases. Isidore already falling, but trades that onto Hachiko. Great value from Frost Mountain. Out comes the Meteor M, down onto the strategist, perhaps a quick fade away with the cloak, and unfortunately only meaty targets remain upon whom you cannot find a one-hit KO. Oniro on the other side is quickly broken down by the berserk claws of their enemy. Abuhu has the final stand. The push was just in time from Line Pro. Unreal timing. 1 HP, freeze away. The right-click dash is just what you need to find the final hit when it was most necessary.
0% are ticking down 1 by 1, but they still have cap. They can still delay for at least a little bit to allow the team to respawn, but OG Seed are creeping in towards a triple final judgment for Oniro to give them any chance at a wipe here to hold this point as once again for the 3rd time. Overtime is ticking down, and once again OG Seed are holding as they trade 1 for 1. 0% with their last ditch effort to find any opening.
The shotgun's out, so too is the Eye of Agamotto. Line Pro's going to fall after having soul rended from body. And well, they're going to be paddling down for River Styx by courtesy of 6 at the end of this. Onirova next to go on down. Hachiko moved on forward, but was delivered to the back line by Frost Mountain and delivered into the Eternal Bond as well. And bonded to the cart, bonded to the concept of victory. OG Seed refused to wilt in the sun, and the Wasteland will not claim this plant. They're the oasis in the desert.
OG Seed claim the triple in overtime, meaning 0% have to push all the way. They have maximized their time effectively. The question is, can they maximize their distance now that they are on attack?
A breath, a time to recollect. 0% facing elimination at the hands of OG Seed here. Line Pro's competitive history made it surprising that he was in this position to even begin with, but to be here against OG Seed is even more uncanny. But if there's anyone who can rally the troops, keep the mental on the straight and the narrow, and inspire a team to victory, it's Uncle Line Pro.
They've got the experience. Now they just need to get the wins under their belt. 0% are already prepared for a potential lock-in. They know that they have to get all 3, so they're expecting OG Seed to go for a similar strategy, to go for the spawn trap, essentially. But there is just a standard composition waiting outside for them here. Doctor Strange, Magneto, the classic Season 0 pioneered by Asia frontline. We have the Punisher. We have the triple strategist to support the Punisher. They're just going for all-in on absorbing damage and dropping some of their own.
An absolutely overwhelming level of damage. 0% likely to soon see that they are actually playing into a 3-2-1, so probably won't stay on 5 strategists for too long. They are actually moving this car. However, KQ easily can track down Isidore. You can't really keep up with the amount of damage that will get pumped out by a single duelist Punisher, by the way, with only a Mantis, and that's why we see players playing literally inside the spawn. Already, out comes Legacy's ultimate. The hand of Khonshu doesn't grab that much. We even see Abuhu just rolling through it without a care in the world. Don't care, didn't ask. Elgod, very weak.
And 0% now going to start to move back. They will begin to swap onto... Line Pro still going. I think he went to hero swap, but he didn't deactivate his shift, meaning he will actually start further back in the spawn.
Didn't fix the braking problem, unfortunately. It happens. They're still without a Vanguard, by the way, so 0%. They might have a little bit of trouble holding the space. They're just going to rely on overwhelming damage coming through from Frost Mountain here. With the Storm of the Century, Lapsus is, of course, going to raise up the Invisible Boundary to try and deal with this. Maybe you could try and isolate 6 birds on into the Invisible Boundary to have all that staying power, and Frost Mountain is punished for the audacity to ultimate into OG Seed.
Problem is, though, there is no Vanguards, there is no beefiness. While they were able to snipe onto the backline, it is 0% who are just too squishy to hold. They burn their ultimates, and now it's back to a standard composition. Back to the Strange, back to the Magneto, and they're even getting Wolverine for some isolation. They are down to 2 minutes and 20 seconds as they have already reached ambulance. This is absolutely doable.
A big feral leap could be everything, but it's going to be the final judgment to begin with right here. Maybe you could try and take down this Doctor Strange. There's good peeling coming through for the opposing Punisher. The magnetic curtain again and again is risen on up. KQ has to back out of the invisible boundary and can no longer see their targets, so the damage can't be delivered. But Frost Mountain elsewhere was noted. Look at this, trying to block off the healing coming through on to Abuhu. But it seems like Abuhu's just playing their own bubbles to try and survive. Legacy Shield won't last against these mortars. The Nestrond Crows tear on through it, and then 6 can just float magnanimously over their territory.
1.5 minutes remaining, 0%. They do have the Strange, so they have the potential to try and portal in if needed. And with Aya Nakamoto already charged up, Legacy is leading the charge. They are running low on time, though, as they're trying to creep into this last point. Hachiko on the flank with their own Aya Nakamoto. They have Media M, they have Invisible Boundary. Their defensive abilities are much more available. Media M to try and protect Hachiko, and it will absorb enough damage to let them get out.
Good peeling coming through from Abuhu, but that's one less tool in the box to try and deal with something like the Eternal Bond. Nice push coming through. The Eye of Agamotto claims revenge, and Naira actually gets fragged by the impact itself. Magic and majesty are too much for a simple guy like Frank Castle. He just likes AR-15s.
He's just trying his best, and yet he has to face against wizards. He has to face against a goddess of death. He has to face against a woman with invisibility powers and two people who are eternally bound, and it's already charged up, ready for the next push.
Okay, 6 falling low. Should be able to get to safety fairly quickly. Eternal Bond moving on forward. Out comes the Eye of Agamotto, and the peel is coming out straight away. Isidore didn't get anything off the Meteor M. Up against the Punisher ultimates. It's not ideal, and Oniro's already fallen in their own right as well. That's going to not be too much to be grabbed here. Frost Mountain trying to make it work. Up against the Vanguard's percentage-based damage will tear through the Doctor Strange, but KQ's having to give up the space. A big Terror Cape takes away the HP of Doctor Strange, and at the moment it's simply playing for survivability. There's not going to be a last point touch, and 0% ignites their tournament lives once more.
0% with 0 time, but they push on in, claiming the point. Wolverine does get taken down as they try to push up to claim the stairs, as Abu is still sending in some insane damage. Abu trying to get on to 6, who will drop that Goddess of Death, even though their team is down. Focus pulled out of the ultimate and will get sniped on the retreat by Legacy.
The Goddess of Death actually baited in the remainder of OG Seed as well, so they too could get staggered. 5 players up at the moment, but they're all on this fighting retreat. This rearguard, if they lose Hachiko, it could be disastrous. The Metallic Orton is born up. Isidore and Legacy see a potential to move on forward. A final judgment in the middle of all of this. KQ's feeling invincible, surrounded by all of these Vanguards, and Line Pro falls down to the overwhelming damage of Franklin Castle. OG Seed with the bait and switch.
OG Seed holds one more time with 1 minute and 30 seconds left. They do not have a similar comp to 0%, so they're not going to try and set up a load of traps here. It is all about holding the doorway and keeping 0% away from this cart. Invincible Boundary, Eye of Agamotto, Meteor M, all charged up. 0% though, Final Judgment. If they can time this and use that Iron Bulwark to protect Oniro from Abuhu with that Meteor M, they might be able to create themselves an opening.
Line Pro needs to hit the push here. The Force Physics. Oh, the bubble came through at just the right time. Immune to the knockback. Line Pro can't survive, and that means there's no healing for Oniro, who just instantly was evaporated upon popping their ultimate. It's looking so bad for 0% right now. They got 3 ultimates and a Hail Mary, a dream to try and survive.
Less than a minute to go. They lost that final judgment here. They are in serious trouble. On the bright side though, OG Seed are ultless here. 60% on final judgment is all they have. 0%, they do have the economy. They're going to try and use it. Opening with an Eternal Bond as they push on in isolation onto Abuhu, taking them out, and they've created the opening that they might need with the last stand into the backline, but it's not enough. Frost Mountain does fall.
Too far in the end. Frost Mountain now not going to be able to punish these Vanguards. Hachiko's feeling a little bit more freedom to try and make this work, but of course, you're constantly wary of the Eye of Agamotto in the back pocket of Legacy. They could also make some portal shenanigans, but I don't know if they've got the time to try and make it on work. Hachiko's already half. KQ going to roll on forward with the final judgment. You better believe that shield is absolutely destroyed from Legacy right now. The Meteor M from Isidore, I didn't see it get anything, even with all the charge that was given over. Lapsis has their soul taken from their body and consigned to the hells below. Ups to hell as well. Go 6, laying down the Strong Crows. Hachiko gets the value from the ultimate. The Metallic Bulwark will only last but a moment, as 6 will have to try and contend with the Tide all by themselves. Flying away towards the health pack. They're going to be in a 1v1 versus Frost Mountain, but a well-placed Feral Leap can complicate matters. Lapsus return on the Jeff. It was the fastest option that was available, and the bubbles make everyone faster. OG Seed have done it. They stop 0%.
Overtime's ticking down. Oniro tries to rush in with Starlord, but they can't reach. It is OG Seed who take the 3-1 on the map, the 2-0 in the series. OG Seed are moving on in the bracket to play against All Business. What an incredible performance. That's an MVP, Jeff.
Unreal. Hey, Lapsus earns the Jeff MVP with a swap at the end, just speed boosting everybody back. Good heads up play Great micro understanding of how to play that fight from Lapsus. Big credit to them. OG Seed, I mean, I didn't ever have this in them. This is crazy from them. 6 and KQ, by the way, had absolute lights out performances. 51k damage from KQ.
20 final hits for 6, 24 for KQ. KQ easily going to be one of the standout players that is going to come onto everyone's radar after what is a fantastic performance. But 6 on the Punisher, on the Hela, was just finding every target they needed.
Unreal stuff. Legacy, look at that. That was a massive ultimate. Unfortunately, in the end, it felt like we weren't getting quite as much out of a Meteor M's from 0% across like maybe 3 or 4 players who played it as we got from that initial 2K. The shutdowns on the Punisher final judgments weren't quite there. Admittedly, that was because there was great homework being done by OGC. The phalanx of shields that would always be generated around Frank Castle when it was at its most vulnerable and at its most dangerous was something that could constantly be relied on for KQ to make audacious plays happen.
And this has got to be a record for the most amount of overtimes we have seen in a single game as well. If 0% had made it to that last point, I have no doubt we would have hit overtime once again. But the fact is, somehow OGC faced that bulwark of a composition on points 1 and 2 and were able to break it to get to these 3 points, to give themselves this opportunity to hold in their own way, to break through 0% with perfect Ayabaga bonus from Hachiko. They set themselves up and they deserve this win.
Ah, this is an absolute heartbreaker for Line Pro and the boys. Look at that. The bubble coming out onto KQ from the Magneto to make sure that they were protected from the incoming damage of the Meteor M. Just so well protected, and that allowed for KQ to really leverage their mechanical skill and drop a 60-5 scoreline. Unreal.
Absolutely incredible. We will be saying, in that case, goodbye to 0% for this stage, as they will be taken down. OG Seed, their next opponents will be all business. No pressure, all business. One of the invited teams for this tournament have had some great tournament performances. They were knocked down to the lower bracket here by Zero Tenacity in those upper bracket semi-finals, who have been on a tear so far.
Yeah, like it's been there have been some tears happening in that upper bracket, and it's been wonderful to watch how some of our talent is marinating, you know, here in EMEA. We used to be a one-team region. We used to be a VP on top of nothing. Now it's anybody's game. EMEA might be the most watchable